Can monsters use that 2-point combat action system? Based on this guy's response, what do you think? The biggest complaint that I got about 2 action point system is that it's just complicates the system and it gives DMs more to do or GMs more to do. And I'm just gonna say use the words of the great Tom Hanks and say,
"It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great."
multi-attack is already a big part of Shadowdark and all the monsters. If you look at the stat blocks, almost all the monsters have multi-attack, which means you are meant to die in Shadowdark.
What the fuck? You shall pay for it! Holy shit! Humanity will never fall to you!
If you haven't had a chance, please check out my first video about the 2-point combat action system. Now, my first thought is it's GM's prerogative of whether or not they want to use this system. My second thought that potentially this system should only be used for bosses, captains. There should be minions, but then the bosses or captains of those minions should be able to use a 2-point action system if they can get past the rules. Rule number 1, any monster that has 2 or more attacks cannot use the 2-action point system. Rule number 2, to use any of the expanded actions, the monster must have an intelligence greater than 9, that's 10 or higher, and they must be weapon proficient, showing active training for combat. And rule number 3, for talents for monsters, which are essentially like spells in many cases, cannot be used if there's high damage associated with that talent. That means anything that does higher than 1 single die of damage, or the talent is bonus damage, or if the talent itself can incapacitate the player character in any kind of way. Okay, so how do we apply these rules to all the monsters in the book? I counted them, there's 241 of them. Well, let's go to rule number 1. Any of these monsters cannot have multi-attack. Now, I did it for you. You don't have to look it up, but essentially 71 of the 241 monsters have single attacks only. Rule number 2 really narrows down the list. How many monsters have an intelligence of 10 or greater? 20 out of the previous 71. That really limits the amount of monsters you really need to worry about. Then you might be asking yourself, again, this is just another complicated thing I have to add to the combat. Well, let me just show you some quick examples to show you how to get through these monsters really quick and identifying whether or not they qualify for the 2-point system.
Apply genetics.
Here's Bandit as an example. It can do 1 attack with the club or 1 attack with the short bow. Rule number 2, what is its intelligence? Look down for that eye, -1. Essentially, at this moment, we know that this bandit cannot use the rules for the 2-point action system. So just gonna have its standard move and 1 attack action, and if it's stationary, 1 attack. But let's make that bandit a minion. GM's prerogative. All we need to do is increase that intelligence to 10, giving the +0 bonus, and now it can use any of the maneuvers in the 2-point action combat system. Now, these next few monsters, we're just going to go through them really quickly, but that's the gist of the 2-point combat action system as it applies to monsters. So let's just go through these really quick. If you're interested in, let's check it out. Just so you can see how easy it is to run through these 3 rules for the monsters. Here we're looking at a hobgoblin, attack, 1 sword or 1 bow. Okay, intelligence of +2, good to go for 2-point combat action system. And it can use a failings action because it's not going to cause extra damage and it's not going to incapacitate your players. The cultist, again, straight look at the attack, 1 sword or 1 spell. So it can use the combat system at this point. Rule number 2, its intelligence is -1, so we immediately can forget about this cultist. However, we can make a cult leader, give him a 0 intelligence, and that's going to immediately allow you to use the 2-point combat action system. And what about Medusa? We know she's a badass. Again, we look at the attack, we can see she has 1 bite, and her intelligence is at a +2. But she has no bow, but I think I want to make her like I've seen her on Clash of the Titans, so we're going to give her a bow. And this is going to allow her to use that bow as an attack twice if she wants. Now, if we look at her different talents, you can see that Petrify just instantaneously occurs, so that doesn't count as part of her action points. Here, we're looking at a skeleton. Again, GM's prerogative. The attack skeleton has a attack of 1, -2 intelligence, but if you want to have a skeleton captain, put that intelligence to 0, and now you have skeleton minions with the captain. Here we're looking at a dryad. 1 attack again, intelligence of +1, immediately tells us it can use a 2-point combat action system, but charm. Charm can only be used as the first attack action, and the second action is going to be a staff attack. Here we're looking at a case of a berserker where it has the intelligence to use a 2-point combat action system, has 1 attack, but if we want to create a minion situation, we can say that the berserker alone itself cannot use a 2-point combat action system, but the berserker captain can. So we just got to create a berserker captain. Now, when we're looking at here, the Druid is kind of a special circumstance. It can take one attack with the staff, or it can cast 2 spells. That's a little unusual, so it's a little bit of both. It breaks rule number 1, but it also sticks with rule number 2. So my recommendation is play this character as is, and you can make this a high-ranking NPC for your game. And that's it, everybody. I wanted to show you that you can apply that 2-point combat action system to monsters. It's very narrowed down to only a few monsters, but GM's prerogative. You can modify any of these stat blocks to allow more monsters to use it. I hope this boon was useful for you. This is RPG Boons, where we talk about everything RPG and how everything is RP. If you like to cut out my gibberish, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. You know I'll get back to you. Until next time, see ya.